that I'm going to teach you something very important is that a rosé is never, ever, ever, ever a blend of red and white wine. Doing that is usually, well, a recipe to doing a bad wine. Some regions that are not European are allowed to do those kind of things, but it's usually not a good one. The only exception to that would be the Champagne region and sparkling wines, where they can blend Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, for example. But this is because the Pinot Noir doesn't have a lot of tannins, and they're doing it before the second fermentation, so you have time for flavors to actually be integrated to the rest of the wine. But otherwise, a good rosé is never a blend of red and white. The color of a rosé, it comes actually from the skins of the grapes. So the idea is that, well, I told you at the beginning that the grape has sugars and yeast on it, but well, the parts I didn't tell you about is that the grapes have also skins. And in the skins, you're going to find three things. You're going to find aroma components, you're going to find tannins, and you're going to find colors. And when you're making a wine, if you want to have color, what you do is you're going to use those skins to extract the color from it. So the idea is the rosé is going to be made like a red wine. It's just that the skin contact is going to last a bit a shorter time, so that you don't extract as much color out of it. For white wine, you simply press the juice and take out the skins immediately, so that the juice stays clear. So for a rosé, for example, skin contact will last up to 48 hours, and this will give the slight color to it. Or what they can also do is cheat by using fining agents that are going to take out some of the color of the rosé. I've heard a lot of people saying that, well, this is a nice color, I know I'm going to like it. As I'm saying, some winemakers can cheat, so never judge the rosé by its color. This doesn't necessarily mean something. Here we're drinking a rosé of the region of Provence, which is here down in the south of France. And this is the typical rosé de Provence, what we call summer water. Something that's going to be light and fruity, something to be drunk fresh, and something that French people tend to love to hate. Most French people are going to tell you that rosé is not wine, I don't like rosé, etc. But come summertime, everybody...
And music. Great music. Oh, it's great. Here's Mike, you can buy a ticket. You can buy a ticket online.
The region of La Vallée du Rhône, which is one of my favorites in France. When we're thinking about La Vallée du Rhône, you just have to know that the Vallée du Rhône is not one wine region, it's actually two separate wine regions. One is called the Northern Rhône, and the second one is called the... Exactly, Southern Rhône. At the north, what's going to happen is that the vines there are set in a way that I think is quite impressive, because the vines are located on very steep hills, so they have to build terraces to build the vines. And what's going to happen there is that they're going to create a lot of red from a grape called Syrah. If you're a fan of Australian wines, for example, Syrah is the same grape as Shiraz. We actually send it to Australia. And here the wines are, most of the time going to be, the majority of Syrah. Wines are maybe just a bit fresher than Australian wines, with peppery notes that are quite interesting. There are two appellations in the Northern Rhône that I would like you to remember. One is called Côte Rôtie, it's at the top of the appellation, and you get really those complex Syrah with aromas of pepper that can age for 10, 20, 30 years, that are very good. And for the simpler 100% Syrah, you can go for Gros Hermitage. They are usually a bit fruitier, maybe just a little bit jammier than the rest. Then we're going down the river, and the hills are flattening, and you get on big wide plains in the region of the Southern Rhône. And in the Southern Rhône, there are two appellations that I want you to know about. One is called Côte du Rhône. Côte du Rhône technically could be produced in the whole region, but it's mostly coming from there. And it's one of the most famous and most widespread appellations of France. Every single time you're going to go into the restaurants, you will find the Côte du Rhône. Côte du Rhône wines are usually blends, most often Grenache, Syrah and Mourvèdre, so GSM blends. The Grenache bringing the fruit, the Syrah the pepper, the Mourvèdre the tannins, and the Côte du Rhône are usually wines that are medium bodied with just a little bit of tannin, the perfect pairing with a piece of beef, for example, those kind of things. So every single restaurant usually has one, and it's home to some of the best quality price ratio that you will find in France. For 10 to 15 euros, you get great Côte du Rhône. Well, some of them are disgusting, but some of them are very good. So it's something that you will have to try, and you will always find. The second appellation you have to know about, it's Châteauneuf-du-Pape, which is what you have in your glasses. Here we're drinking a 2020 Châteauneuf-du-Pape. Châteauneuf-du-Pape is a small city just located north of the city of Avignon. Châteauneuf du Pape, the name comes from the name Newcastle of the Pope, because when the Pope was visiting France at the time, he was going to visit Châteauneuf du Pape. And this town is very important for the system of appellation in France, because it's in Châteauneuf du Pape that the system of appellation was born. The idea was that back in the 1920s, one of the winemakers of Châteauneuf du Pape, he was looking at out of his window and wondering, well, I'm using grapes that everyone is using, I'm using winemaking techniques that everyone is using, but I'm making wine that nobody is able to reproduce. So why is that? And his answer he had by looking at his vines, and in Châteauneuf du Pape, the vines are set in a very specific way, so they're lying on big white plains where it's very hot, and the soils of Châteauneuf du Pape are composed of very big rocks. And those rocks are going to be very important, because what they're going to do is that during the ripening season, they're going to soak up the heat during the day and release it slowly at night, so that the grapes are going to ripen consistently in flavors and sugar during the whole season. So that's why Châteauneuf du Pape are usually very bold wines with a lot of tannins, with a lot of structure, a lot of fruity flavors, and a lot of sugar. And who says a lot of sugar also means a lot of alcohol. Indeed, well, this wine, for example, is 14 degrees of alcohol, which is light for a Châteauneuf du Pape. It's usually more 14.5, and when they're writing 14.5 on the labels, it actually means 15. They're allowed to cheat by 0.5. So it's in this sense that the notion of terroir was born, because it's the specific soils, the location, the climate that exists that affects the taste of the grapes and the taste of the wine. So this is why the winemaker decided to go to every single one regions of France, saying, do you see specificities in your places? And this is how the AOC system was built. So Châteauneuf du Pape, as I said, wines, as I said.
Well, that's 0. That's 32 Fahrenheit. Zero is freezing.
It's crazy. Small world, huh?
So for the last one, we're moving on to a wine region I'm not sure you ever heard about. It's called Bordeaux.
It's only the biggest one, right?
It's not the biggest one. Bordeaux could be the biggest one, but it's the most famous, that's for sure. And when you think about Bordeaux, it's, just remember that a bit like for the Vallée du Rhône, Bordeaux is not only one region, it's actually multiple ones. There are 65 different appellations in Bordeaux, and usually the best ones are not the ones that are called only Bordeaux. It would be more Haut-Médoc, Saint-Émilion, Pomerol, those smaller names of villages. Wines labeled only Bordeaux or Bordeaux Supérieur, or the generic ones that are usually very cheap, but not necessarily the best. So if you're looking for a good quality Bordeaux, and the ones that made the reputation of Bordeaux, you're more looking at those things like Médoc, Pauillac, Pomerol, Saint-Émilion, etc. And inside of Bordeaux, for me, there are two main styles of wines that you will find, depending on which side of the river you're in. So here, as you can see, Bordeaux is cut in half by the river La Garonne. On the right side, you're going to have the appellation Pomerol and Saint-Émilion. On the left side, you have Médoc, Pauillac, etc. On the right side, what's happening there is that most of the time it's going to be a wine made out of a majority of Merlot grapes. And this means that you're going to have wines that are usually with aromas of red fruits, with aromas of prune, with soft velvety tannins that you can drink after 3 or 4 years after the harvest. On the other side of the river, here it's more the land of the Cabernet Sauvignon grape. And the thing is that Cabernet Sauvignon on its own, it has a lot of tannins, a lot of acidity. And in Bordeaux, the consistency is that it's always made in oak barrels. So these are wines that are going to extract a lot of tannins, which means that most wines made from a majority of Cabernet Sauvignon will need a lot of time to be actually drinkable. I often say that 100% Cabernet Sauvignon aged oak barrel has to be aged for at least 10 years before being drinkable. My dad even says it's 18 years, otherwise it's child abuse.
Oh my God.
The only mitigating factor about that is that I know that we don't always have time to wait 10 or 18 years before drinking a bottle, is that sometimes what they will do on the left bank is that they will blend the Cabernet Sauvignon with the Merlot, which is going to soften it a bit. And for example, the wine that you're having in your glass right now is 8 years old, it's 2015, and it's actually a majority of Merlot grapes, so 80% Merlot, 20% of Cabernet Sauvignon, which explains why the wine is so smooth. Yes. I find that the tannins are present, but they are soft. You know, they're not aggressive, they're not grainy, so you really have the softness, the silkiness to it. You have the aromas of, well, the primary aromas that come from the Cabernet and the Merlot, and you also have a bit of the tertiary aromas I was talking about. Here you have a bit of cocoa, you have a bit of smoky aromas of flavor. Those come from, well, barrels and also a bit of aging. About the wines of Bordeaux, what I like to think about is some people will think that Bordeaux wines are the best in the world, and I don't know if you've noticed, but there's a lot of world wine that are called Bordeaux blends, which is usually a blend of Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot, and you find it mostly everywhere. In South Africa, you find it in California, you find it in Australia, etc. Because, well, they decided that this was the best. And back in the 1950s, we decided that we wanted to defend the French ones, saying that as we invented it, we are doing the best ones, and we organized something that's called the Judgment of Paris. It was supposed to be a publicity stunt where we invited people doing those kind of blends to do a blind tasting and to select, well, the best wine that existed. So winemakers came from everywhere in the world, but especially from California. And the results of the wine tasting went in, and instead of French wines, it was not the French wine that won, it was actually California wine that won, Chardonnay and the Cabernet Merlot from California.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
So this goes to show that, well, it's not necessarily always just about the terroir, it's also the work of the winemaker that is going to affect the taste of the wine. Of course, the specific conditions and the knowledge of it is important, but everyone can make a good wine if they know what they're doing.
Yes, exactly.
So this is what I want you to take out of it.
Yep.
Any more questions? So if you don't have any more questions, I would like you...
So,
40 siya, okay.
we're done wine tasting. We got two. Au Chateau. It's really good.
You got tipsy. Huwag ka mag-alala, baby.
What do you mean wag mag-alala?
Ang hirap talaga. Ay, hindi ko sila. Parang nabunan ka.
So we're on our way to
Deli by Mel.
Okay. And the food plan is belly.
Char soup.
Char soup. Pork char soup. I don't know what I'm gonna order, but it's here. Deli by Mel. Okay, very well. Pardon.
Char soup.
Section.
And then this one.
The biscuit, no, biscuit one, this one. Loaded and yeah. Biscuit one, this one.
Okay. So this one is brisket, this one is
Yeah,
sir.
exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Merci.
Merci.
This one is yours, this one is mine.
Tikman mo muna pareho.
No, I'm gonna taste mine.
Kaya tikman mo nga muna. Kasi magaling ka mag-review.
What?
Hindi mo nakain yung pork eh.
Wala akong nakain naman.
Hindi yan, yung dulo kainin mo yung dulo. Huwag mo na intindihin yung bread, basta targetin mo yung meat. Okay, game me next.
Oh, that's yours. Oh my god, the pork.
What can you say about wine tasting?
So good. You be careful because you get tipsy, I think, for the 4th glass. I'm tipsy now.
Welcome to Jazz Music Fest. After eating and wine tasting, next is Jazz Music Fest. We're here at La Defense. Stage is over there. There's no one playing yet. It says 9. Oh, someone is playing actually. It's a chorale.
Butterflies all having fun, you know what I mean. It's in my mind, it's quite a game. But you give me with your smile.
So yung nagda-drums, yung kumakanta.
That's it for today. Sunset here at Jazz Festival in La Defense. Pretty cool. Orchestra jazz. See you tomorrow. Hope it doesn't rain. And then we'll be back.